Welcome to the Halloween Marathon of 2022.
What do you get when you mix the fun, frantic pacing of an arcade game, a horror theme, and that awesome 80s and early 90s vibe? You get Night Slashers. Here is an amazing arcade exclusive that was released in 1993 by Data East. I talked about this one on my Beat 'em Up series videos, but this is one of those games that also requires that it be mentioned during the Halloween season. This game can be played with one player, two players, or even three players simultaneously. And the cabinet came in different styles. Not all of them had the three joystick layout though. And you have three players to choose from. You have Jack Hunter, Christopher Smith, and the last one I'm going to probably butcher the name all to hell, but I'm going to try to pronounce it anyway. Hua Hong Jup. As you probably already guessed, each one of them has a specific set of moves, and each one of them has special attacks as well. The girl obviously has the best agility out of all of them. Jack Hunter is the strongest of the three characters, while Christopher Smith is the most well balanced of the three. Here's a game that I never heard about until I started researching for my Beat 'em Up video series a couple months ago. That's a damn shame too, because I would have had a ton of fun playing this game on the arcades, but the truth is, I never once saw it in any of the arcades that I went to. And one of the downsides to an arcade gallery is the fact that they can only squeeze in so many games. Another problem was that during the time of its release, the one-on-one fighting genre was skyrocketing with the super popular and successful Street Fighter II game. The gameplay on this one, it's extremely frantic, and you're going to be going up against zombies, ghouls, and all sorts of horror type creatures. When you start the game off, it immediately throws you right into the action with an awesome little in-game cutscene of you just mowing down tons of enemies while driving your awesome looking 80s type van. What's also great about this game is that it provided a different vibe to the beat 'em up genre when it was released. That's because most other arcades and home console beat 'em up games were always like the same type of story. Evil gang kidnaps your girlfriend, kidnaps somebody else's girlfriend, kidnaps some woman, and then you have to go and save them. This one just decided to put you in the shoes of three really comical styled characters in a horror setting. There was no girl to save here. You were just saving the world from some guy called King Saruts. And he's not interested in stealing girls or kidnapping women or anything like that. He just wants to turn the world into a playground for the undead. Level bosses are also pretty cool. You're gonna fight monsters that look like Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, a mummy looking guy. It's almost like playing against the Castlevania lineup of enemies, only it's a beat 'em up. And I think one of the reasons why this game never came out on the home consoles or anything like that was due to the fact that maybe they would have gotten sued for using the likeness of the monsters like Dracula and Frankenstein and so forth. That's a shame. You might think to yourself, well, how much fun can a beat 'em up type game be? You're just punching and kicking pretty much the entire game. But I think with the stellar graphics that are used with this game, which are actually very colorful, you're going to want to keep progressing because you want to see what the next stage is going to look like and what kind of enemies are going to be on that stage. And maybe you even want to take a look at what the boss is going to look like. So if I'm talking about graphics, I'm going to give this game a 9. They took advantage of the arcade motherboards to bring about some great looking graphics, which are extremely colorful considering it's a horror style beat 'em up. So they could have gone on a more dark visual tone to give it a more creepy vibe, but they decided to go against that and give it a more vibrant comical look. And I kinda like that. The enemies, they're great, and the bosses look awesome. The overall background, they have a lot of cool little details in it. It's a game where you can actually just sit back and watch somebody play, because you're looking at all the visuals and all the background details and graphics that are crammed into the game. It's actually fun. Talking about fun from a gameplay standpoint, this game, I'm going to give it a 7. It's a beat 'em up, let's be honest. It's very hard to give a side-scrolling beat 'em up anything higher than a 7, especially when I'm talking about an arcade. These games were meant to suck the quarters out of you, and so there wasn't a lot of replayability when you're talking long term. It would have been awesome had they given you maybe branching paths and more level selections, but as it stands right now, as an arcade, and we're looking at it from that point of view, it did a commendable job. It wasn't too long of a game, it wasn't too short of a game, it was just perfect. On the Halloween meter, this title, I'm going to give it a solid 9. It has great graphics, it has all the ghoulish delights that you would expect from a game that you can play during the Halloween season, and you don't have to dedicate too much time to it to truly enjoy it. That's the beauty of an arcade game. So as I stated before, this game never came out on any consoles or computers, including the 32-bit systems that would come out a few years later. In fact, we wouldn't see an actual console port until many years later on the Switch and on Steam. However, from what I've read online, the emulation that was used to port the game over was not done very well, and many people still prefer to play the arcade version on an arcade-style emulator. There is good news though, because from what I've read online, there is a revamped version that is coming out on the newer consoles sometime in the future. If they can add more levels and branching paths and maybe integrate a little bit more of an RPG type system as far as maybe collecting experience points and adding more moves, this title will surely sell once it is released regardless of what system it's on. Now, join me tomorrow when I will be talking about a mystery game. And when I say mystery, I mean as in you'll have to wait until tomorrow. But it's a classic and it's an oldie. You don't want to miss it, trust me.
Ha 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 ha.